Fox's story, The Cunning Trickster. Deep within the heart of a dense and untamed forest, there lived a fox named Renard. Renard was no ordinary fox. With his fiery red fur and piercing amber eyes, he was a creature of mystery, admired and sometimes feared by the other animals. What set Renard apart wasn't his speed or strength, it was his extraordinary intelligence. The forest echoed with tales of his cunning and wit, and many animals had learned that crossing paths with Renard often meant being outsmarted. Renard lived a solitary life, exploring the forest and observing its every nook and cranny. He understood the behavior of the animals, the flow of the rivers, and even the shifting winds that whispered secrets through the trees. He was a silent guardian of the forest, always prepared to act when danger loomed. One day, dark clouds gathered over the forest, and the air grew heavy with an ominous stillness. Rain began to fall, not the gentle kind, but a torrential downpour that turned the ground into rivers of mud. The streams overflowed, and soon, the mighty river that wound through the forest began to swell. The water rose quickly, threatening the homes of all who lived near its banks. Panic spread among the animals as they scrambled to save themselves and their families. The beavers, known for their skill in building dams, worked tirelessly to hold back the water, but even their strongest structures began to crumble under the relentless force of the flood. Birds flew frantically, calling out warnings, while smaller creatures scurried to find higher ground. Amidst the chaos, Renard calmly observed the situation from a dry hilltop. He knew that if the animals didn't act quickly and intelligently, many would lose their homes, and perhaps their lives. Renard's sharp mind went to work. He darted down from his perch and began calling out to the animals, his voice cutting through the noise of the storm. "Listen to me," he shouted. "The floodwaters are rising too fast. If we stay scattered, we'll be swept away. But if we work together, we can save ourselves." The animals hesitated. Many were wary of Renard, knowing his reputation as a trickster. But as the water continued to rise, they realized they had no better option. They gathered around him, desperate for guidance. Renard quickly outlined his plan. "We'll build rafts," he said. "Gather logs, vines, and any large branches you can find. We'll lash them together to create floating platforms. The stronger animals will help carry the materials, and the smaller ones will weave the vines to hold everything in place." The animals sprang into action, following Renard's instructions. The elephants used their powerful trunks to uproot trees and gather large logs. The monkeys, nimble and quick, climbed trees to collect vines, while the beavers, despite their earlier defeat, worked to bind the materials together. Renard moved among them, directing their efforts and offering clever solutions to every problem they encountered. The rain continued to pour, and the water rose higher, but the rafts began to take shape. One by one, the animals climbed aboard, finding safety on the makeshift vessels. Renard ensured that the smallest and most vulnerable animals were given priority, guiding them to the center of the rafts where they would be safest. As the floodwaters surged through the forest, the rafts floated toward higher ground. Renard led the way, swimming ahead and using his keen senses to navigate the treacherous currents. At times, fallen branches or strong currents threatened their progress, but Renard's quick thinking and sharp instincts kept them on course. After hours of effort, the animals reached a high, dry plateau where the floodwaters could not reach. Exhausted but relieved, they collapsed onto the solid ground, safe at last. The forest lay below them, submerged in water, but they had survived. The animals gathered around Renard, their eyes filled with gratitude and admiration. "You saved us," said a small rabbit, her voice trembling with emotion. "Without your plan, we wouldn't have made it." Renard smiled, his cunning eyes softening. "It wasn't just my plan," he replied. "It was all of us, working together, that made it possible. Remember this, strength is important, but sometimes, it's the mind that can turn the tide." From that day forward, Renard's reputation changed. He was no longer seen merely as a trickster, but as a hero, a symbol of how intelligence and unity could overcome even the fiercest challenges. His story was told across the forest, a tale of courage, wit, and the power of collaboration. And so, Renard continued to roam the forest, his sharp mind always ready to solve the next problem. But now, he was no longer alone, for he had earned the trust and respect of all who called the forest their home.